the careers and sports and the things that we've done is it teaches you to embrace that. It teaches you to embrace that pain because you know on the other side of that, you're going to be better for it.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of becoming more and more of a requirement for long-term effective marriages is like, you're going
Yeah.
to change so many times in your life. You're not the same person you were when you got married or when you were dating or whatever it might
Hmm.
be. And, you want to try to change together,
Hmm.
and have that. If one person is willing to change, but the other person is resistant, it's going to be a hard time,
Yeah.
because they're just fundamentally on different wavelengths. But luckily, my wife, Camille, is just an angel and she pushes me in all the right ways. And I push her too.
Yeah.
And we make a lot of mistakes. But the thing that kind of saves us a lot of times, like we're willing to look at ourselves and we're not afraid to really ask some hard questions.
Hmm.
One of the things recently, like when we moved to Colorado, you know, we had different opinions on a lot of the stuff that we're doing now. Like we had different opinions on
Where'd you
hormone
guys meet, by
replacement.
the way? Did you meet in San Diego or in
No,
Colorado?
we met in Lake Tahoe during a CrossFit exhibition in
Oh,
2010.
cool.
It's a really cool series. It's still online called the Tahoe Throwdown.
Oh,
And
sweet.
this is back when there were like two sponsored teams, Team Road, Team Again Faster. We were on the same team together and we hit it off. And that weekend basically deconstructed all of our lives. We both went home and were like, all right, I'm gonna have to ruin my life now. And completely because we were like very clear what I should do. And we
Yeah.
both completely uprooted ourselves and we're married within a year.
Oh,
But
cool.
I'm sorry, what I was gonna say, whew, I got a little bit lost there. You have to remind me where I was at.
Yeah.
Our opinions on stuff has really changed. Not just on training and nutrition, but also on things like hormone replacement therapy,
Hmm.
marijuana, mushrooms. Like, when I was growing up in sports, like I was just told that like, marijuana is this awful, dangerous thing.
Right.
It's a gateway drug. You're going to be a loser if you do it. Testosterone is dangerous. It's cheating. You're going to hurt yourself. Mushrooms are going to fry your brain. And a lot of that is honestly, it's just propaganda.
Hmm.
And it's propaganda by people who are kind of threatened by it. And as time goes by, we realize that like a lot of these things that we had such strong emotionally charged opinions on have a little context and utility. Like we used to be like completely anti carbohydrates, like carbohydrates are going to kill you. Carbohydrates, the root cause of all evil.
Yep.
And
I've
now
been
we're
there
like,
too.
no, no, carbs definitely have a context and utility, and there's definitely a good application for them in the
Hmm.
right environment. You just need to understand them better. Well, when I mentioned my elbow reconstruction
Yeah.
surgery at the end of my career, that was a time when post-op, I was on a lot of painkillers. So I was on Vicodin, Dilaudid, Percocet, all the painkiller stuff, and I started taking them too much, and I actually got to the point where I felt like I couldn't really sleep without taking them, and then I had to take more and more, and it became this whole thing where we had to have like a whole intervention and be like, okay, you got to get off these pills, and thank goodness I was able to get rid of them, but I realized like I should never touch that stuff. And so at the end of my CrossFit career, both Cami and I, we both had like really major surgeries. I had a back reconstruction surgery and Camille had shoulder reconstruction. And unfortunately, this is not like an uncommon type of outcome for high intensity CrossFitters over a lifetime. Like a
Mm.
lot of backs, a lot of shoulders get fucked up.
What did you
And
do to your back?
so, you have all these discs in your back that are these fibrous casings with liquid inside that provide as a cushion between the vertebral columns, right? And sometimes if you lift poorly or too intensely or get out of position, the fluid inside can push hard towards one side of the disc or another and create a tear called an annular tear. So it's the annulus of the disc. Well, I mean, this happened to me a dozen times where I'd torn the disc again and again and again and again in the
Mm.
same place, in different places. Just like I would hurt my back, I would rehab it, I'd go back to doing CrossFit, and I'd hurt my back again. And it was just rinse and repeat, right?
Hmm.
And over time, you end up with just like constantly degenerated discs where the disc stops holding fluid and height and starts
Hmm.
to reduce. And along with that, you get less space, not just between the vertebral columns, but also in the foraminal canals that the nerves run out of. So I
Mm.
had such bad stenosis, which is a narrowing of those canals, that I was starting to lose function function of my legs. And that was the kind of thing where I was like, oh fuck, I think I got to get surgery now, because I can't, my leg is just dragging behind me and I can't feel it, and it's starting to really atrophy. So it was getting bad. And the surgeon kind of showed me, he made the analogy is like, these nerves are supposed to look like spaghetti and yours is like a piece of fettuccine. And so that's why the compressed nerve is giving you so much, loss of feeling and that kind of stuff. So they went in, they drilled bigger holes in the discs. They tried to, into the foraminal canal. So it's called a foraminotomy. And then they also took stem cells and tried to inject them inside the disc to see if some of those tears could actually heal a little bit. And it was enough to just get me out of that state where like I have function of my leg again. Right.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the big aha moment for me, where I was like, hey, Dave, and like a lot of athletes out there, like you're a lifelong athlete. You find so much joy in movement. This is something you're going to want to do as long as you can. How are you going to honor this new lease on life that you have for your training career? Like the technology to do this, like if we were 50 years ago, you'd be fucked. You'd be like, okay, good luck. Sit on the couch the rest of your life, right? Or figure it out. But we're lucky that we live in a time and that I had the resources to even get this surgery or try these technologies. And so my question was like, how am I going to honor that? Am I going to just go back to doing what I was doing? Or am I going to learn my lesson and learn how to think differently? And so that's what ultimately drove me into that mixture or blend of hypertrophy and functional movement, right? Is like figuring out, how can I lift intensely and grow size and strength and muscle and maintain capacity while taking the big players associated with injury out of the equation, like speed, going as fast as you can, or load, going as heavy as you possibly can.
Right.
And the answer was hypertrophy training. And I actually thought like, a lot of people that come to CrossFit, they think they know what hypertrophy training is. They said, I did some bodybuilding before, but they have no idea what it was. They were probably doing the right thing, but the wrong way, because good hypertrophy training is super intense, crazy effective, and perfect for a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, CrossFitters have two incredible skills that most people in the gym will never acquire. Okay. And those skills are, they know how to move. So they know how to back squat, they know how to deadlift, they know how to press, they can do pull-ups. They understand the positions and the patterns of these compound functional movements that have so much context and utility outside the gym, but are also monsters in terms of efficacy and potency. Like the amount of adaptations you can get out of a good back squat is insane compared to like leg extensions or hamstring curls or things like that. Right. And when you go into a traditional gym, you usually either don't see people doing those movements at all, or you see them doing them terribly. Yeah. Right. So you already know how to move. The other thing that CrossFitters know how to do is they know how to work with intensity. Like they'll do pull-ups until their hands bleed. They'll condition until they puke. Like they understand how to push. They understand that idea of the rate of perceived exertion and how to work at the limits where you're exhausting muscles. The only change they need to make is just channeling those skills in the right direction, right? Where instead of doing it as heavy as possible or as fast as possible, maybe you're doing sub-maximal loads under control and just completely exhausting muscles in a more controlled fashion that allows you to move safely and more effectively build muscle. Yeah. Because that's like the other big thing is like the average person going to the gym is there for two reasons. They'll say, I want to look good and I want to feel good. That's like the most popular answer, right? Most people don't go in the gym being like, I'm here to be the fittest man on earth. That's usually not the answer. Sometimes they get peer pressured in some ways into that kind of, or they start feeling like, okay, you know what? Chasing performance does excite me. But I think it's important for people to remember, why are they really there? Like, what's the reason for them being in the gym? What do they want to get out of it? And for me, I thought back to that time when I was like a freshman in high school, in the high school weight room with the dumbbell rack in front of the mirrors. And I started doing bicep curls because I wanted to look like a superhero. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I want to look awesome. Like, yes, I want to be able to do stuff. Yes, I want to be able to play and express my fitness and play with my daughter and run 10Ks and do all these cool athletic things outside the gym. Yeah. But most importantly, I want to be able to wear my fitness on my body. I want to walk into a room and have people go like, wow, that guy's an outlier. That guy must train. Like, you
You
know,
want to
people
look fit.
your arm,
Yeah.
the girls, exactly. And it's so rewarding. And I think in CrossFit, that's not only not talked about as much, but in some ways it's even diminished. Where
Hmm.
Greg Glassman would say, you shouldn't have mirrors in a gym. Mirrors are stupid. Well, mirrors are not stupid. If you're someone who's invested in your physical appearance and your physicality, being able to look in a mirror and see improvements is just as important as being able to see your deadlift going up and your mile time going down. So I don't know why you would diminish it in any way, because it is an important component for a lot of people.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the big evolution for me at that time. And honestly, for most of my athletes, they're in a similar boat where, you know, the vast majority of them come from CrossFit. A lot of them were pretty competitive CrossFitters, but they're at the point where they don't know what to do, and they're kind of between a rock and a hard place where they're like, what now, right? I'm
Hmm.
kind of getting banged up doing CrossFit. It's a little too much on me. My performance is going down. Is there anything left to pursue? It really kind of takes the wind out of your sails, and it can
Yeah.
make you feel super discouraged, and there's not a lot out there for them. So, you know, to me, that's what Thunderbro is. It's that second life, or that breath that we can breathe into people to be able to show them that you can still thrive and not just survive through this or go through this inevitable decline in a way, just by, you know, kind of not changing what you're doing, but changing the way that you're doing it.